In this Autodesk Fusion 360 tutorial, I'm going to show you how to model this cute little penguin that then you can 3D print. We'll do this using the Form Workspace to edit T-splines in Fusion 360. Let's jump into the Form Workspace by clicking Create Form. Then I'm going to make a quad ball. I'll click on the origin, then click again, and then I'll type 30 for the size of the quad ball. I want 4 span faces, and I want symmetry mirror, and I want the length symmetry. Then I'll press OK. What I want to do is click on the form and then press Ctrl-1 or Alt-1 to go into box mode. Then I want to edit the form. I'll right-click Edit Form. Then I can look directly from the front, and I need to change this so it starts to look more like a penguin. So then I can move all these up after I select them, and then I can select these bottom faces, and I can scale them down to 0 to make a flat bottom. You can also press 0 to scale that in. Now I want to make these loops going around not be so jagged, so I'll double-click to select, then I'll scale, and then type in 0. I can do this for the horizontal loops as well. I double-click, and then I scale, press 0, then click on this one, double-click, scale, press 0, and then I'm going to look from the side, and it looks like I need to straighten these ones out too. So then I can scale, press 0, and then double-click this one, scale, and press 0. Now I can more easily spread this form out. So I want to make it look more like a penguin, so I'm going to select the bottom faces, scale them out a bit. Then I'll look from the side, and I probably want to scale them out just a little bit like this. And then I want to scale the whole form up. So let's see how that works. I can scale this up. Yeah, I think that's looking like a penguin. And then maybe just scale it out just a little bit. Okay, so now we have the basic structure of our penguin. We can look in smooth mode by pressing Ctrl or Alt-3. We need to add an edge loop down to the bottom here to give us a bit more control. So we'll do that. So let's go back to box mode. I'll double click this edge, and then I'll modify Insert Edge. And then I only want a single edge, so then I'll drag this down to the bottom. Then if we go to smooth mode, notice now that is nice and tight. I'm going to insert one more edge so I have enough places to put feet. So I'll go back to box mode, double click this, modify Insert Edge, and then I'm going to drag this down just to have a little space for feet, and I'll press OK. Now I need one more edge going through here to be able to have the different colors of fur. So I'll double click here, modify, Insert Edge, and since I'm on symmetry, this edge will go in on both sides. So I'll press OK. Now I'm going to right-click, Edit Form, and I want to move some of these vertices around to start to give this shape. So I will move these over just a little bit. I'll move this one down because I want to have it have a round shape before I extrude any of the fur parts. So I can move this one over just like this. And then I can move these back just a little bit to make it wrap around the form a bit more, because this is going to be the white part of the fur of the penguin, and we want that to be nice and round. So then we can bring this down just a little bit. Actually, we'll bring that one up and make it rounded out that way. So we'll bring these up, and we got to look from the side and then bring them back a little bit. And then I think these ones will come down. So we'll bring this down a little bit. And then that center one will come all the way down. Sometimes things can get in the way, so just off-click, and then you can go back and click the things you want. So then this will give us place for the feet right here. You can start to see how this is going to be the fur of the penguin. We want this to come back just a little bit. Start to round that out. It's good to work in box mode. You can always touch things up in smooth mode, but this way you can really see where all the pieces are going. And then as I do this, I might notice, hey, this is kind of pointy on the top. So I'll just bring these vertexes down a little bit. Flatten that out. That's going to make it much more smooth on the top. I think that's starting to look pretty good. So you can see this is going to be the white part of the penguin. So I think I'll move this piece over just to keep that a little bit more even on the size. Yeah, that's looking good. So then I can shift click both of these, then hold shift, press up, and it'll expand my selection. Now I have too many things selected, so I can hold Shift, deselect these pieces, zoom in a bit, keep holding Shift, deselect, and now I have all of that selected. What I want to do is scale it in. So I'll make sure I have all of the scale controls, and then I'll hold Option or Alt, and then I can extrude that in a little bit. And then I'm going to do that one more time. So there we go. So now that's extruded in twice. If I go to smooth mode now, you'll notice that we have a little bit of separation. And that way, when we 3D print this in a single color, we can still see what it looks like. I might turn the lines off for a little bit. You can do that by pressing Control 4 or Alt 4. So at the end, we might make that separation a little stronger, but I think it's plenty for right now. So let's go back to box mode, and then we'll turn our lines on by pressing Control or Alt 6. And now what we need to do is add spaces for the eyes. I'm going to put the eyes here, and I need an edge loop. But the way Fusion 360 works, I can't put an edge loop all the way around because I've already done this extrusion. So what I can do is double click here, and it'll go around mostly. So I'll say modify insert edge, and I want to have that edge up here where the eyes are. And I'll say OK. And then I can modify insert point, and I can zoom in, and I just have to click here, 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 and here. And since I have symmetry on, it'll go across. And now I have a whole loop. And then I can double click here, and I can edit the form. And if I want to, I can go back to Workspace, and maybe I want to just flatten that out a little bit. I think that's good. And then if I need another edge there, I don't think so. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that'll be fine for this because I have enough spaces. So I'll select all 4 of these, and then I'm going to scale this in just a little bit. Once I've done that, I want to take some time to round this eye area out. So then I can just move these around. You really need about 6 sides to make something round, and that's what we have here. And so we just kind of want to make that look more like a hexagon than it does a square, and that'll help make everything be round for the eyes. And you want to do this now before you extrude the next step, because otherwise you're just extruding and then having to edit everything at the same time. We can even pull this out just a little bit to start to make that round. So that'll be our eye location. If we look at smooth mode, you can see how that's starting to look nice and round there. Let's go back to box mode. And then I'm going to shift click all 4 of these. And then once again, I'm going to extrude by scaling. I'll scale that in a little bit. And now I actually want to have selection space, and then I'll extrude in just a little bit. Right? And then I can extrude back out. So then I can hold Option, and then I can come out. Not so far. And then now I can round this piece down. So I can unclick that. I can click the center point, and then I can just bring that out a little bit. And then I can round it off by bringing these pieces in. And I may need to just shrink that down. So I'll do that. So I'll just scale it down just a little bit. And that'll help round those out. I might do that a little bit more. There we go. And then I can still round it out even more by pulling these vertices back. So you can see how that will round out the piece even more. So I'll bring this back like that. And then I'll bring this corner back in all the directions. So now if I look at smooth mode, you'll notice that we have these cute little penguin eyes that go right there. And you can continue to modify the eyelids and things like that, depending on how much detail. But when you're dealing with cute things, a lot of times less is more. So just kind of leave simple, smooth forms, and then that will look pretty nice. Might pull that out just a little bit, make that a bit rounder. Great. So now let's go ahead and add a beak. So to add a beak, we need to have a spot, and we'll put it in the white fur right here. I think what I'll do is go ahead and insert a line right here that goes all the way around. So I'll double click, modify, insert edge, and this will just help us have a center part of the beak, right? So then I'll select all these pieces right here, and make sure you select across the symmetry line. and then edit form, and I'll scale this in by holding Option or Alt. And there we go. Now we have a place to put our mouth. I'll scale it down this direction. And then I think I'll select all of these and I'll scale them in this direction and type in 0. So then they're flat that way. So that'll give us a nice base for the beak. And you could pull these back, but I think that's pretty good right where that is. I'm going to go back to box mode just to see what's going on. And you can see here we want to move that one up before we go any further. And probably want to move these over just to start getting that nice and round before we extrude too much. And if we want to have some curvature to the beak, we can do that by moving these pieces down. So we'll select both of these. We can bring these down and then maybe bring this up just a little bit. Bring this up a little bit. Doing these large form edits are better than having to edit all the fine details. You want to keep your mesh and your model as low detail as possible until the end. Then I'll click these. Notice in Fusion 360, I need to click all of them across the symmetry line to be able to extrude as a group. I'm going to scale these in, hold Option or Alt. And then I'm just going to pull them out to make it nice and flush. And then I'm going to leave this control ring right there just to give it some structure. And then I'll hold Option and I'll extrude out again. And then we'll see. I think I'll scale it down just a little bit to start being a penguin beak. And then let's go out again. So I'll do Option, Extrude. There we go. And then you can decide if you want to rotate this. This is a good time to start adding some details. And I'm thinking that's looking great. And then I'm going to go Option, Extrude again. And then if you want to have a little bit more curvature, I can rotate that down, scale this even smaller. And there, that's looking like a nice penguin beak. And then I probably want a nice control ring on the end. So I'll do that and then scale it down. And that's probably good enough for now. Let's see what it looks like in smooth mode. Oh yeah, that's looking like a nice penguin beak. It could probably be a little thicker. So I think it could be expanded out. So what I'm going to do is select those pieces, check my selection. I think I need to get all these pieces too around that ring. So just take your time and make a good selection. And then I'm going to look from the side. And I think what I want to do is go to Workspace and then just scale that up a little bit. And you can see how that's really starting to look like a nice penguin beak. Oh yeah, that's good. And then looks like we will have to go back to box mode. And you can see how these are starting to intersect. So we can fix that by just moving the beak down a little bit. That'll take care of the spot up by the fur there. Maybe we got to move down just a little bit more. And then we have to double click these lines and we'll move them down, I think. Yeah, there, that'll take care of that. And then we have just a little bit too much curvature on this beak. So we'll bring these pieces down and then we'll bring this down here. So we can select these lines in the middle, I think right here, bring those down. Not this part, just this one. There we go. And then probably this line here needs to come down a little bit. And then we'll bring this one down. And then let's see. That's probably looking a little better. Let's look at smooth mode. Oh yeah, looking good in smooth mode. I think that could be adjusted a bit more to be more penguin beaky, but I think that looks great. So now we need some little penguin wings. So let's add some penguin wings. I think I want to add the penguin wings starting up at the top shoulder here. But before I do that, I want to edit the form. Let's go to box mode. And right here, these 4 boxes aren't very round. So if I edit them just a little bit to make them round ahead of time, then my extrusions will be better. So I can just make this into more of a hexagon like this. And that's going to make that extrusion better. And then we can move these edges that are on the outside just to help transition into that circle. So that'll look a little bit better. So that'll be our wing root. So let's go ahead and grab this, 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 and this. And then I'm going to get the scale command and hold Option or Alt, scale that in, and then I think what we want to do is scale it down because a wing would be nice and flat, maybe not so much. And then let's go ahead and scale it flat a little bit like that. And then we will extrude out a bit and then rotate and then extrude out a bit. And let's see. Yeah, those are going to be some great penguin wings. We can rotate a little bit like this, not too crazy because we don't want to mess up our polygons. And then I'll scale it down. And then I think it wants to rotate like this. So the wings are kind of going backwards. And then we will Option extrude out and then rotate a bit more, just like that. And then we'll scale it down, maybe even scale it in a bit more like that. Oh yeah, there's some cute little penguin wings. And then we will extrude out again. So we need to get some more geometry. Sometimes these get in the way, so just turn on the command that you want over in the Edit Form menu of Fusion 360. Then now I need to scale, so I'm going to scale down a bit more. And then thinking that looks good. They probably want to bend down a bit. They're kind of sticking a little bit too far out stubby. Let me just fix this last piece, scale that out. So I'm going to Option Alt Extrude, go back to scale, scale this down. And then I can zoom out, look from the side, and then I can make a selection here, zoom in, make sure I have all the pieces I need. I think that's pretty good. And then I can just rotate this down a little bit and then move it. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Let's look at smooth mode. Oh, look at that cute little penguin. Now we just need a tail. Maybe put a little mouth in there. That could be nice. Little mouth and a little tail. So let's go do the tail. We're going to do the tail right over here. So I'm going to press Control 1. And then I think I want to grab this bottom box also. That way the tail can sit on the ground. And I think I'll grab these just so it has a bit more space. And then I'm just going to scale in a little bit. And then I'll scale these down and then move them down. This way it has a little bit of structure coming from the top part there. And then I'm going to Option Scale Out, Extrude, and then move down again because I kind of want this tail close to the ground so when it's standing up. And then I can flatten that piece out with the Scale command and then extrude a bit, then rotate. Scale down this way. See, I also need to scale in, make it a bit narrower. And then we will Option drag out. I'll use the universal scale. And then do we want this to turn up? Yeah, I think it wants to turn up just a little bit, like a cute little penguin tail. And then we'll Option extrude those faces and then scale this down like that. And then we need a control ring right on the end. And then we'll scale that down. Let's see what that looks like on smooth mode. Oh, so cute. So cute. Maybe a little pointy. But we could smooth that out. But I think that looks fine for now. So now we need maybe a mouth and maybe some feet. It doesn't necessarily need a mouth, but let's go ahead and just put one right here. So I'll Option Scale this in. And then I'll move this down a little bit. And then I want it to be nice and small and kind of not perfectly circle, not like a perfect circle, but kind of round. And then we'll Option and then we'll extrude in. Oh yeah, that's cute. And then we just need to have these outside pieces. So we'll go back to box mode and fix that up. So this edge here needs to come down. And then we need to put this edge down. This edge needs to go over. And let's see what that looks like in smooth mode. Oh yeah, there's our cute little penguin mouth. And again, we can modify that, and those are pretty square in box mode, so we can make this more like a hexagon, maybe add in some supporting edges, but I think that looks okay. So we'll go back to smooth mode. Now we need some feet. And it's nice to have that shadow separation so you can actually see where the different colors of the penguin are. You may want to do that on the beak here since we know it's a beak, but we could add a little groove by extruding this one more time. So now let's go ahead and work on these feet. So let's go to box mode. I think the best place for the feet are these 4 sections over here. So I'm going to extrude, scale those in, and then I want to kind of pull them out a bit. So I'll pull them out a bit this way and down. So we want that bottom side. We can flatten that out later. And then we want to keep this simple because we want them just to be little penguins. And then we'll option drag out, scale them down. Let's see what that looks like in smooth mode. That's looking good, but I think we need a little separation between the feet and the fur because they're definitely different color. So I will go back to box mode and let's go ahead and click this ring. We can shift and then double click, and then we can just extrude it out by going selection space. And then if we just hold option, that'll pull that out there. And then we'll just scale that down just a little bit. And then let's see what that looks like in smooth mode. Yeah, so that gave us a little bit more separation there. And I think those are pretty good little nubby penguin feet. So now I'm going to go back to box mode and we could flatten out the bottom here. Oh, actually, I need to pull that foot out. So let's do that. I think it needs just a little bit more support and definition. So we will pull these out. And let's go ahead and go option drag out, scale down a little bit, and then option drag. And then we want all of this from the bottom to look a little better. So here we have some issues with this foot, so we can move that out like that. And that's looking better. And then we can just move all these pieces down to start to make that flat because we want the foot to be flat. And we can round out some pieces like this. Whenever you start to see those pointy squares, that means you're not being perfectly round. And by rounding the pieces out, everything will look a little bit better in smooth mode. There's our nubby foot. We'll bring some of these in to have that separation. Bring this point in, and we want to get this. So whenever you get these pieces that are overlapping, you can click and hold, and then grab that vertex from up there. And then that will work a little bit better. Then go to the side, and then you can pull it out the other direction. And then so this one's back there too. So I got to click and hold. I can grab that vertex, and then I can pull that out and see how that helps everything. Looks like I got one back here too. So I'll bring that out. And then once we get all this, those feet are going to look a lot better. So there, now we have all the pieces in the right spot. It's very easy, especially when you pull things out in smooth mode, to get pieces that are overlapping. So here we have another thing overlapping. And then we can just move these pieces back. And then look at this. And then look at this vertex. And then we can bring it back. And then move these vertexes back. So now everything is starting to get nice and in the right spot. Remember, we're 3D printing, so we don't have to have the best model topology for this. So we can kind of just play around to our heart's content to make this be round and make it look good in smooth mode, because an STL is going to be made of triangles and we can make it look however we want. So I think this should be a little bit wider down there for the penguin nubby toes. I think those are a little too pointy, but for the most part, we're all there. So let's go back to box mode. we can shift click these and then grow our selection. And that gets all of those, except we don't want these. We don't want those. We probably want this, and then not that. And then click this, and then this. And then we want to get these pieces over here. So I want this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And it should get them over here. Yeah, I think just those. This, this. And then let's get these. Not the lines. Perfect. And then I want to also click these. And then we can go modify, flatten. And it's going to flatten that. And we want to go to a parallel plane. We'll pick the ground plane. And then that'll flatten all those pieces down to the ground plane. And we can toggle between control and surface points. And so if we do control points, notice that's going to make that perfectly smooth down there. So now we know our print will sit nice and flat on the ground. We may need to add some edge loops around the bottom to make that look nice. But if we go to smooth mode, now we now have a nice flat bottom for our 3D print, and we have a cute penguin. So now we can simply finish our form. And then to export this as an STL for 3D printing, you can just go to File, 3D Print. And then we need to select this as our mesh. And then you can decide if you want high or medium refinement. You can preview the mesh. So it takes a second, and then it'll output that preview mesh. It'll be on there. And then you can uncheck Send to 3D Print Utility. And then if you click OK, you can save that STL and then open it up in Cura or any other 3D print utility to print on the 3D printer of your choice. Hopefully you're able to make this cute little penguin and 3D print it, or another character that you want to make. Happy 3D modeling and happy 3D printing with Fusion 360.